Assalamu alaikum. So let's discuss today William Shakespeare, the most amazing dramatist in the world, and the Shakespearean theater. So the theater had plenty of characters, unlike those of Greek theaters. So there were so many characters, and even there were so many female characters as well. So many characters were there to perform certain roles, and in Elizabethan theatre, they focused on a large quantity of good characters. We also find comic relief in Shakespearean theatre. For example, if there is a tragic scene or there is a death scene, which in Shakespearean theatre was on the stage, not like the Greek theatre, which was off the screen or off the stage. So after that, front foot horrors or those killings or massacres on stage, so people would try to, or writers would try to eliminate the effect of tragedy or that horror. So they would include some comic elements. So every horror or every bloodshed scene was followed by a comic scene in which some clown or joker, he would give certain amusing things, or he would amuse the viewers to reduce that comic effect. Tragedy was performed on the stage, it was not hidden. Shakespeare and Elizabethan theatres to a large extent violated the Aristotle's concept of tragedy. For example, Aristotle believed in unities, but Shakespeare violated those unities. Then supernatural elements were there in Shakespearean and Elizabethan theatre. So many supernatural elements were shown in form of ghosts or like spirits were there. Female characters in Shakespearean theatre, they were weak characters. Like if we look at all the plays of Shakespeare, it was probably only the Lady Macbeth who was a dominant character and who reshaped the destiny of her husband Macbeth. The rest of all the characters are weak, and they have certain weaknesses, and like Shakespeare says, frailty thy name is women. So he attributes women as a weaker character, and his male characters are stronger. So on the left side you can see the ingredients of Shakespearean tragedy in a comic version. A person is a noble hero, he has a tragic flaw, he has a star-crossed love, he has mistaken identity sometimes. His works were in iambic pentameter. The villain is ironic. The heroes or the protagonists of the play, either hero or villain, they have certain soliloquies. Supernatural elements are there, like three witches in Macbeth. And then there is insult, vicious insult by hero to villain or villain to hero. There is a comic or comedic resolution as well in some plays, and there is a tragic downfall. So this is what Shakespearean theatre is. So the theatre in Shakespearean time was much different than it is today. Authors wrote plays for the masses, especially those who could not read or write. So for them, it was shown on stage. The theatre changed a lot during Shakespearean time. The authorities did not like it and didn't allow acting in city itself, because it was not in good books, like theatre performance was not in the good books of authority. They thought it had been a bad influence on the people, and they kept it from going to church. So authorities believed that stage performances may be some evil enactment which are hindering in the God's way. Queen Elizabeth, on the other hand, loved acting and helped the theatre become popular. So as the time went on, many popular theatre emerged inside and outside the city walls, especially the outside walls. Shakespeare's theatre was full of life, and people did not sit all the time, and it was not quiet during performance. The audience could walk around, eat and drink during the play. They cheered, booed, and sometimes they threw objects on the actors. Theatres were open arenas or playhouses that had room up to 3 1,000 people, where people could sit and watch. There were structures made mainly of wood. There was no heating, and actors got wet when it rained. The stage was higher, and there was an open pit in front of it where the most of the people could stand in. Richer people and noble people or noblemen, they sat in the gallery. There was almost no scenery because the dialogue was most important part of the play. So they showed the setting through the dialogues. Colorful and well designed costumes were very important and told the people about the status of a character. Women never performed in plays, so young boys played female characters. The performances took place in the afternoon because it was too dark at night, though there were certain female who played, but most of the characters they were played by the male people who played the part of female. There was no stage crew as there is today, like those helping people, they were not found. Actors had to do everything themselves from making costume to setting the stage. So everything was done by the actors. Plays were organized by acting companies. They performed about 6 plays each week because they needed money to survive. They had no time for rehearsal. So since they had to perform a lot, so there were no rehearsals, and they could at a stretch. They were so refined actors that at a stretch they could perform the whole play. Now this is about the life of William Shakespeare. So on April 23rd, 1564, William Shakespeare is born. Then in 1571, he goes to grammar school. In 1528, he marries and starts a family. In 1585, he moves to London and begins his theatre career. In 1585, his first play is a success, and then in 1593, his poetry was famous all over. He started writing that. In 1594, he was a founder member of Lord Chamberlain's Men Acting Company. In 1596, William's only son, Hamnet, he dies at the age of 11 with unknown reasons. In 1599, William's acting company builds the famous Global Theater, which was famous all over. In 1600, William writes his most famous tragedies. In 1603, William's acting company changes their name to Kingsman. In 1609, William writes his final plays as solo playwright, like he was not using the theater. In 1612, William moves back to his birthplace, Stratford-upon-Avon. In 1660, William dies when he was 52 years after his birth. So this is about his life, and William's plays are published in their first folio in 1623. So many copies, like 1,000 copies were written, out of which 238 survived. Born in 1564, and he was called as Bard. Bard means a poet. He's called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon, where he was born and died, or simply the Bard, that is his title. His first play in 1590 was Henry VI, Part 1. In 1592, Green, he was a critic and a poet. He attacks Shakespeare. It was a verbal attack, an attack of criticism, which made Shakespeare even more famous. In 1601 to 1603, Hamlet was written and published. In 1609, he published his sonnets and almost 39 plays, 154 sonnets, 2 long narrative poems, and a few other verses were his under his authorship. So they were composed by him. So these are the plays, the famous plays, comedies and tragedies written by William Shakespeare, after which Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, A Midnight Summer's Dream, Othello, King Lear, The Tempest, Twelfth Night, Richard III, Much Ado About Nothing, As You Like It, Henry V, The Taming of the Shrew, The Merchant of Venice, Henry IV Part 1, Titus, Julius Caesar, and so many other plays. The Winter's Tale, and All's Well That Ends Well, King John, all these things they were, and Troilus and Cressida. It was a great play by Shakespeare. So plenty more plays they're here. So these were all written by William Shakespeare. So this is a short synopsis of Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth. This is one-page summary. Three witches tell Macbeth he will become a king. Macbeth tells Lady Macbeth he will become a king. Lady Macbeth tells Macbeth to kill the king. Macbeth kills the king. Macbeth becomes a king. Macbeth has his friend Banquo murdered. Macbeth gets more prophecies from the witches. Macbeth kills family of Macduff, the Thane of Five. Macduff joins with Malcolm, the son of the dead king. Lady Macbeth goes mad and dies. Macduff and Malcolm dress up like trees and attack Macbeth. Macduff kills Macbeth. So this is about Macbeth. So in Romeo and Juliet, this is a love story with a tragic ending. So this is in front of you. This is way too long. You can pause it and you can read all the synopsis. This is dramatic persona, like the characters in Romeo and Juliet, what they were. So this is one page summary of A Midnight Summer's Dream. Demetrius wants to marry Hermia, but she runs off with Lysander in the woods. Helena loves Demetrius and tells him where Hermia has gone and follows him into the wood. Bottom the Weaver and his friends start rehearsing a play in the woods. In the woods, fairy king Oberon uses a love juice on Titania, his queen, in order to make her give him her foster son. Oberon tells Puck, his hench fairy, to use the love juice to make Demetrius fall in love with Helena. Puck mistakenly uses the love juice on Lysander and he falls in love with Helena. Under the influence love juice, Titania falls in love with Bottom, whom Puck has given the head of a donkey because Puck correctly uses the love juice on Demetrius, and he also falls in love with Helena. Everyone runs around and is confused and angry for a while. The love juice effects are removed from Titania and Lysander and everything is resolved. Everyone gets married. Bottom and his friends perform the play and it's hilariously terrible. So, Julius Caesar, the tragedy. Julius Caesar wants to become king. Cassius and Brutus don't want Caesar to become a king. Cassius convinces Brutus to join a conspiracy to assassinate Caesar. Cassius, Brutus, and 6 other conspirators assassinate Caesar on the ideas of March. Brutus makes a speech to people explaining why killing Caesar was a good idea. Caesar's friend Antony makes a better speech to the people explaining why killing Caesar was a bad idea. The people drive Cassius and Brutus out of Rome. Antony and Caesar's nephew Octavius join forces and go after Cassius and Brutus. Caesar's ghost hunts Brutus. Cassius commits suicide. Antony and Octavius' army defeat Brutus' army. Brutus commits suicide. So the famous lines from here are when Brutus kills Caesar, he says, "You too, Brutus," like, I was not expecting this from you. Then Much Ado About Nothing, and then there is a comprehensive guide to Shakespearean cross-dresses. So there are major characters of Much Ado About Nothing: Leonardo, hero, Beatrice, Don Pedro, and there on the right-hand side you can see a comprehensive guide to Shakespearean cross-dresses, in which you can say Twelfth Night, As You Like It, The Merchant of Venice. So pausing the video can give you all these details. Now these are Shakespearean tragedies, and this is what is happening in them. In Romeo and Juliet, the good thing about or bad thing about his tragedies are that everyone dies. So everyone dies in the end. Uh, Mercutio is stabbed, Tablet is stabbed, Paris is stabbed, Romeo prisons himself, Juliet stabs herself, and Lady Montaigne dies of a broken heart. Hamlet is stabbed and poisoned, and then Claudius is stabbed and poisoned, Lycurgus is stabbed and poisoned, Polonius is stabbed through a curtain, Gertrude is poisoned, and rest of people are beheaded. Ophelia drowns herself. As far as Othello is concerned, Emilia is stabbed, Rodrigo is stabbed, Othello stabs himself, and Desdemona is smothered by a pillow. Macbeth, Duncan is stabbed, Duncan's guards are stabbed, Banquo is stabbed, the Macduff family is stabbed, young steward is stabbed, Macbeth is beheaded, and Lady Macbeth dies from lack of sleep. That is basically her, it is almost a suicide. So this is all about his characters. Pausing them, you can go through them, that what is really happening to the Shakespearean characters. Now, these are his famous plays and the short summary or synopsis of them. Antony and Cleopatra. So, Antony and Cleopatra's affair brings about the downfall of the Egyptian pharaohs and the result in Octavius Caesar becoming the first Roman emperor. So, like Romeo and Juliet, miscommunication leads to Antony killing himself and Cleopatra later doing the same. So, and then Coriolanus, a Roman general, and this is about his tragedy, what happened to him. Hamlet, the prince the son of the king of Germany. So he is having his tragic flaw that he's pending the things. His beloved Ophelia, she by the end drowns. Hamlet is able to kill the people he wanted to. In the end, he himself dies. Julius Caesar is based on the famous historical incident in which Julius is killed by Brutus, and afterwards he is avenged. King Lear is about the King Lear's divided kingdom, and then the tragedy taking place in from that kingdom and the issues that are unsettled afterwards. Macbeth is his passion to get the kingship, and he kills the king on the saying of his wife. So he kills his cousin and king, King Duncan, and becomes a king himself. He also kills his friend Banquo, and afterwards he is avenged, and his wife dies of lack of sleep and suicide. Othello is about jealousy. Othello is a black who loves and marries Desdemona, who is white. So Othello is insecure about his race and color, so he is kind of jealous. And Iago, the villain, at the same time develops jealousy in Othello for Desdemona. So in the end, everyone is killed. Othello himself kills Desdemona and then kills himself. Romeo and Juliet is a love affair on the famous love couple, but they meet their tragedy in the end, and killing is there in Shakespearean plays. Timons of Athens and Titus. So these plays are basically the plays which are from his tragedies, and they don't meet their happy ending here. So there's always killing in the play, throughout the play, or by the end of the play, or there is suicide by the protagonist. So overall, his plays are rated 10 out of 10 because his language is best of all. His quotations are there, and they are well rehearsed, and they are quoted. The Moor, I hear his trumpet. So in this way, or you too, Brutus. So his so many quotations are famous. From Macbeth, it is said that all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. So his works are popular all over. So thank you very much, and hope you understood the Shakespearean theatre now.